This is the Phone 2a, a unique take on budget phones from nothing. The price starts just under $350, and you could probably tell it's a budget phone from the letter A in its model name, which reminds of a known naming scheme borrowed from Google Pixel phones. So, has Nothing created something that stands out, or is it just another budget phone? After a month of usage, I have some things to share with you. Starting off with the design. It is a pretty big phone with a flat 6.7-inch screen, even-sized bezels and round edges, looking similar to a Galaxy S24 Plus from the front. But what really sets it apart is the backside. The camera placement is not the usual one, even when compared to previous Nothing phones. Dual rear cameras are placed in the middle of the phone, and next to them a dot for LED flash and a rear microphone. You don't see this kind of camera placement often, but there are phones who have gone for this kind of layout before. Typically for a Nothing phone, you get the signature design elements, a glyph interface and a transparent back cover. To trim down the cost, the size of the glyphs has been greatly reduced and the back cover is now entirely made from plastic. While the latter is a takeaway we often see on budget phones, the cover is really well made, with those round edges giving an impression of a glossy glass. The USB cable and SIM ejector also follows the transparent design language. There are 3 available color options, black, white and grey, but the grey looks just like a different version of white. The USB cable is white for all colors, even with black. The middle frame on this phone is made from aluminum, but the outer frame is plastic with this matte rubbery finish, and it feels quite interesting. I have to say that for a budget phone the build quality is pretty solid. It feels like a budget phone when compared to more premium phones in the hand, but it has its own thing going on, and it's not that cheap feeling you could expect. For this price they have done a great job making you look at it more often, while thinking that there has been extra attention put into designing this phone. The hardware on Nothing Phone 2a is quite impressive. Starting off with the giant 120Hz AMOLED display. At this size 1080p might sound underwhelming, but it looks amazing. The colors, vibrancy, sharpness and its brightness going up to 1300 nits. With the chipset, Nothing decided to go with MediaTek's Dimensity instead of Snapdragon. This Pro version is a specially tailored chip engineered to work better with the specific hardware of the Phone 2a, at least according to Nothing. There are 2 memory options available. There is the entry model, which is the one I am using, and a higher tier model, but there is also a third variant exclusive to India, which puts it in the middle between the 2. Now you might think that budget MediaTek chip would be somewhat inferior to Qualcomm, or that it is not a premium choice, but this is not the case. It is built on the 4nm TSMC process, being more efficient in terms of power consumption, and it actually performs better in synthetic benchmarks when compared to its Snapdragon rivals. But it is still a budget class chip and will not outperform something like a Tensor G2 in terms of performance. The Phone 2a has a giant 5000 mAh battery, which is now the baseline on this segment of budget phones. There is no wireless charging, but you get 45W wired charging, which is pretty fast. Special thanks to Charger Lab for sending me their PowerZ USB tester. It gives a lot of useful insights on how your device is being charged and what protocols is your charger capable of. There is a link below in the video description to check it out. On the rear center pill you will find dual 50MP cameras, a primary lens paired with an ultra-wide-angle lens, and on the front there is a 32MP punch-hole selfie camera, but more on the camera performance in a minute. Out of the box, the Nothing Phone 2a runs Nothing OS 2.5, based on Android 14. The software support goes to 3 years of major Android versions and 4 years of security updates. Since the launch I already received around 3 updates, which have introduced many improvements and bug fixes. For example, HDR processing has gotten much faster, so it is good to see that things continue to improve. But even with the latest update I still had the issue where the Google apps would suddenly have no access to internet, after the phone was sitting idle for longer periods of time. Nothing OS itself is quite a minimalistic skin, and feels close to stock Android with some changed design elements, as well as interesting features that aim to change how you use this phone. By default, the launcher is themed with single-colored app icons, and the design continues in many interesting widgets for home screen as well as the lock screen to choose from. The unified app icons are a nice touch, but when I started installing apps, it quickly lost its harmony, as apps like Outlook and TikTok did not have their icons themed, while some less popular ones did. A wide selection of third-party icon packs is available. As a matter of preference, reverting to stock icons is also possible. This year started with phones introducing AI-based features, and this phone is no exception. There is an AI-based wallpaper generator, which lets you choose a theme and a style to combine for creation. However, the options are quite limited, and you end up getting many versions of the same thing. And something you might have heard less of is Nothing's own Perplexity AI search engine. This app does not come pre-installed, but you can get it in Play Store. And as a bonus when buying a Nothing phone, you get a free 1-year Pro subscription, so I suggest you check it out. In general, this phone has been very fast and responsive. The chip handles the daily tasks pretty well, and you can also do gaming on it. While playing Call of Duty Warzone, I felt that the left side of the screen became quite the warm zone. And sometimes when you slam it with tasks, the slowdown can be noticed, which was mostly with the camera app. So let's talk more about the cameras. They perform good in decent lighting conditions. The color accuracy in the viewfinder was really good on reflecting the real life scene, and even low light photos give satisfying results. But the photo quality is very inconsistent, sometimes having too much sharpening going on. I would recommend turning Auto HDR off, as the images can look a bit over-processed. There is an option to use the full 50 megapixel sensor and capture high-resolution photos, but these 50 megapixels leave much to be desired in terms of extra resolution. The selfie camera quality is acceptable. The video recording is limited to only 40K 30fps. While testing the stabilization, I noticed some weird lens shake which appeared when going down the stairs, and video quality could be a bit better. And also you cannot switch between the cameras while recording a video. The battery life on this phone is very good, and I agree with Carl. You surely won't get battery anxiety with this phone. On average it lasted me throughout the day and a little bit more. And the fast charging helps to fill it back up quite quickly. By the way, the 45-watt charger is not included and will cost you around extra $35 if bought from Nothing. And let's not forget about the glyph interface, being the most eye-catching element with every Nothing phone release. This time around, with the glyph size being reduced, it does not attract so much attention and remains as a pretty non-intrusive addition to the whole experience. There are plenty of ways to use it, like the volume level, select or compose glyph-enabled ringtones, and there is some third-party app support too. Also, the haptics paired with the glyph animation are quite unique, giving it a bell-like sound. Just have a listen. I would not call it satisfying, but it feels really different. For me, it is clear that this phone is not just about the shining glyph lights. It has plenty to offer for its price, which aims to give you a well-built overall package of experience. After using the Nothing Phone 2a for almost a month now, I have to say that I really enjoyed it. It feels really nice in the hand, and that custom approach from Nothing on the design elements just leave you with a very personal touch in every aspect of this phone. They have built a cheap phone that doesn't feel cheap at all, and cuts the right corners to make a well-balanced price-performance ratio. If I was to recommend a budget phone to someone from now on, I would definitely recommend the Nothing Phone 2a as the best all-rounder. But if camera is a key point for your decision, then there are other similarly priced options for you, like the Pixel 7a I recently reviewed. Let me know your thoughts on the Nothing Phone 2a. Do you like the design language? Subscribe and stay tuned for more interesting videos.